All right, let's jump right into a fascinating idea that connects some pretty abstract math to the very real and sometimes very messy world of home renovation. So what is the link between these three things? Well, the answer is a concept that helps us measure and, more importantly, manage complexity. And it turns out it's the secret to getting great results in all three.
To really get our heads around this, we need to start by exploring a really powerful idea from the world of mathematics and computer science.
Okay, so what in the world is Kolmogorov complexity? Well, put simply, it's not about how big or long something is, but about how simple its instructions are. Think of it like the ultimate measure of how compressible something is.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. Take the number pi. It seems incredibly complex, right? An infinite, non-repeating string of digits. But because a tiny little computer program can spit out billions of those digits, its Kolmogorov complexity is actually super low. On the other hand, a truly random string of numbers has no simpler recipe. The shortest way to describe it is just the string itself. You can't compress it at all.
And you see this exact same principle in the world of technology. A brand new server, right out of the box, low complexity. Its entire state can be described by a simple installation script. But then you start making little manual changes, a setting tweaked here, a random package installed there, and its complexity just explodes. It becomes this unique, fragile thing that's almost impossible to perfectly recreate without making a full backup of everything.
Okay, so that's the digital world. But let's see how this idea jumps from our screens into the physical world, starting with something you've probably never thought of as complex. A can of paint.
Paint just seems like paint, but its behavior is actually governed by a whole field of physics called rheology. Just think about ketchup. It's all thick and stubborn in the bottle, but you shake it and suddenly it flows easily. That's a non-Newtonian property. And believe it or not, paint is packed with these kinds of complex behaviors that make it a real scientific puzzle. And to actually understand all that complexity, scientists use these incredibly sophisticated tools like this rheometer here. It measures precisely how the paint's properties shift and change as it dries, which tells them how it's going to react to different conditions out in the real world.
And this is where that science really hits home. If you live in a climate like Seattle's, with all that rain and humidity year-round, those scientific variables create huge challenges. Paint takes forever to dry, moisture gets trapped, and before you know it, you've got peeling, blistering, and even mold. That's a high-complexity headache for any homeowner. Oh, and if you thought that was it, there's another layer of complexity. The color itself. We're talking about something called the light reflectance value, or LRV. In a place like Seattle that's often overcast, this is absolutely crucial. A bright white paint might look great in the store, but under a gray sky, it can just reflect that cool blue light and make an entire room feel cold and stark. It's just one more variable you have to get right.
So let's just take a step back. If a single can of paint is this complicated, how in the world are you supposed to manage the thousands of variables that go into a full home remodel? Well, the answer comes from a Seattle-based contractor, Kolmo.io. They built their entire company around this very idea of managing complexity. Their whole goal is to take the chaotic, unpredictable process of renovation and turn it into a transparent, predictable system, basically creating a simple set of instructions for a very complex project.
So how do they do it? It all comes down to their structured four-phase process. And this isn't just a simple checklist, it's their version of that short program we talked about earlier. By clearly defining each and every stage, they slash the number of variables, they minimize surprises, and they make sure that complexity is managed from day one all the way to the end.
And they integrate technology at every single stage, which is huge. Digital estimates right at the start give you total clarity. Then, in the design phase, 3D renderings let you see the final product before a single wall comes down. And during construction, you get real-time updates, so you're never left in the dark wondering what's going on. This constant stream of information just dramatically reduces the project's complexity for you, the homeowner. And a system like this lets them pull off some truly incredible transformations. I mean, they can take a space that is the very definition of high complexity, a cluttered, chaotic garage where every single item has its own random story, and apply their simple process to create a clean, functional, and beautifully low-complexity workspace. And look, you don't just have to take my word for it. The results really do speak for themselves. Their clients consistently talk about professionalism, attention to detail, and maybe most importantly, the ability to stay on schedule, all of which are signs of a system that has successfully tamed the chaos of construction. So what's the big takeaway here? How does all this abstract math stuff really connect to something like your kitchen remodel?
The Kolmo philosophy is, pretty literally, a real-world application of Kolmogorov's theory. Their success isn't just about good craftsmanship or using nice materials. It's about having a brilliant system to manage the thousands of moving parts in any project. They've effectively created a simple set of instructions to produce a very complex and beautiful output, your dream home.
And that's really the connection, from an abstract math theory to the paint on your walls, all the way to the contractor at your front door. It just goes to show that the best way to tackle any complex project, whether it's a computer server, a paint job, or a full renovation, is with a clear, simple plan. It's all about finding that elegant solution that turns chaos into clarity.